live, and I'm looking at us. Okay. I'm waiting for all the streaming greens to go green. I see blue sending data. Excellent. Oh, excellent. One, two, three, four. Okay, let's play the music. Here we go. So we're going to
Okay.
start. One, two, three. Can you hear it? Dance with me, Richard. So you want to be a cool kid. We're streaming. We're live. Hanging with the inset. I'm the inset. You're the insert. Cool and fine. Casting your net. Wait for the drum roll. Here we go to the bridge. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, thank you so much to Serge Hoffman, the musician friend in Paris who wrote the music and sings my lyrics to So You Want to Be. I'm Bonnie D, and I'm here with, I think, one of my brand new best friends, and his name is Richard G. Those of you want, it's Glick, G-L-I-C-K, but we only use initials here. We're not anonymous, we're synonymous. There we go. Richard, how are you, and welcome.
I'm good, and thank you for having me.
I'm delighted. And we have to do a shout out to our mutual friend and your PR agent.
Yeah,
She is wonderful, Grace
she is.
McCormick from Lightfinder PR. And
Yes.
Grace said, "You've got to have Richard. He is a cool dude." And there we are. So I'm delighted to have you. You and I had a little prep session last week and I got to know
Yes.
you. And I'll warn my audience that we're going to be showing, I have Richard's book. I have his digital book, a PDF, and we're going to be showing some of his art. I will display it and he will narrate it. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. He used a lot of very rich techniques, very innovative, very beautiful. So, Richard, I'm looking forward to that. Richard, guess
Thank
what?
you.
I have a poem to introduce you. Let's just say it's a rhyming bio, and I hope you enjoy it. So let me get started here, okay? And if you don't like it, you can just drop off, and that'll be the end of it. Okay, here we go. You may know us well, Bonnie D. and Richard G. too, seasoned in life, and we love what we do. From socials channels and the virtual embrace, we love sharing our insights in this special place. Now here on We Dish, we're here to play, lightening up life in our uniquely fresh way. Welcoming Richard G., an artfully cool dude. Here's my rhyming intro. He'll add details after with attitude. The story of Richard G., an artist to his core. Bonnie D. welcomes Richard, and we'll learn a lot more. Born in the 50s, a time so bright, Richard G. stepped into the light. With two dear sisters and parents near, his start was built on love sincere. A neighbor friend, his closest mate, imagination would shape his fate. Through art and music, Richard's dreams grew. Painting, drawing, his passions true. At Niles West High, he made his mark. Graduated early, eager to embark. History and art sparked his inspiration, while part-time jobs fueled his dedication. Off to college. You like it so far?
Very good.
Off to college. This is your life. Off to college. The world grew wide. At Ohio State, Richard hit his creative stride. Bowie's voice and Broadway's glow lit the path Richard longed to know. New York called, Richard, Richard, the Big Apple Grand at B. Altman store. I remember that. He took his stand. Disco nights, neon lights. The city pulsed with endless sights. Relationships, the stage, the sound. A life where magic could be found. Yet through it all, passion remained. Art's soft whisper never waned. Through galleries grand and theaters bright, nature and hiking also brought him light. An eye for design, modern and bold. In furniture's world, Richard's creations took hold. Yet art's soulful whisper stayed in his mind, a passion too strong to leave behind. Now, with full-time brush, Richard follows his muse, blending his past in life's palette of hues. A man of the world with stories to tell. Richard G's a cool dude, our honor fits well. Join us for tales that are sure to captivate as we dish artfully right out of the gate. What do you think?
Perfect. Great.
I'm glad. And let me finish up. We're here on We Dish, chatting on life's score, culture, music, food, art, and so much more. Join us live or on demand, day or night. We won't be here at night, but that's what on demand's for. And enjoy our dishing with shared delight. Meet us for real in our live streaming glow. Comments are welcome. Play nice. We know who you are, you know. We Dish, two saucy dame and cool dude too. Bonnie D and Richard G. Dishing on life's fun. Pour vous. So there you go. Did you like
Ah,
it?
that's great. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a virtual assistant named Sylvie. She's French, and she helped me with the rhyming. But I went back and I said to her, no, you missed a couple things. We didn't put in the furniture. We didn't put this, we didn't put that. And she said, okay, what do you want me to do? No, she said in French, she was very nice. And she said, tell me what you want. So I sent her parts of your bio again, and she put it into rhyme again. And then I went back and I changed a bunch of stuff. I told her, and she said, I have a talent for that. She told me I'm good at it. So there you go. Richard, I'm absolutely delighted. Is there anything you want to add to the bio
Yeah,
before we?
did a great job.
Okay.
Amazing.
You knew this person, right?
Right. My best friend.
Your best friend. Okay. So what I'd like to do first is a couple of songs from you. What kind of music informs you, inspires you, or just you love being a cool dude? You're officially a Bonnie D cool dude now. You know that. We're going to
Right.
get behind you. It says so. So what music do you like?
Well, I must say that when I'm painting, I only listen to disco music.
What?
Always. I'm by myself, so I could do it. And it brings the adrenaline up. I'm always listening to disco music. I kind of grew up with that, and starting with the Philadelphia sound in the 70s, and keeps on going. I listen to new stuff, everything that goes on, and usually disco is what I listen to when I'm painting,
Have
always.
some favorite disco artists you'd like to talk about?
Well, I mean, one that comes to mind, actually, I was going to bring her up when switched over, was Diana Ross.
Oh, what songs? Any particular
Yeah,
songs you enjoy? Go
yeah,
ahead.
it's my house.
Yep.
And I had a lot of situations where I've kind of been in Diana Ross world. Um, I saw her in concert in Central Park West in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, we were in Miami, and we'd go there for spring break with the family. And she was at a very fancy hotel, and she was in the lobby with her other. And I went up to her and said hello to her.
Yeah.
And then in New York, for some reason, happened to me twice. I sat next to her in restaurants.
What?
And
Really?
she was really pleasant, beautiful, and so that was a lot of fun.
Very cool. Give me a couple more names of disco songs that you enjoy, because a
Um,
lot of my songs are, so I want to know which ones you
oh,
like.
I'm going back.
It's okay.
I always love my mama.
Okay.
What else do I like? Anything. I know that you're a big fan of Donna Summer,
Mm-hmm.
and anything of Donna Summer, I kind of really like. And actually, I always like when they're really long and go on forever and that kind of whole genre.
MacArthur Park Suite,
Yeah,
26 minutes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes,
right.
that's one of my favorites.
So that always
Absolutely.
does it for me too.
Any Motown or just on the disco side?
Motown, yeah, I really enjoyed Michael Jackson, the earlier version of Michael Jackson
Yes.
songs.
Yeah.
And he was such a talent.
Yeah.
And
We'll leave it there.
yeah, just everything happened bad to him, but he
We'll
really
leave
was
it
a,
there.
a
Yeah,
big force in the music world.
I remember Billie Jean. I remember so many of his songs. I remember dancing and singing to them and moving to them. And yeah, he was quite a talent. And the Thriller, other
Yeah.
things,
Well,
just
look at Quincy Jones. I mean, how talented was that man? I mean, did
yeah,
everything, going back
absolutely.
way before with Frank Sinatra and everything. It was
Yep,
kind of,
yep, very cool. I'm going to
mhm.
give you some of my songs, okay?
Okay, good.
I have specific ones here. I like Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Young Rascals Groovin' Groovin' on a Sunday. Anyway, Leslie Gore's You Don't Own Me, which was an
Mhm.
anthem of independence. I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. Helen Reddy.
Right,
Janis Joplin, Me and Bobby McGee, 1971. And the line from that we all know is Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
right.
Isn't that the truth, Richard?
Mhm.
Hit me with your best shot, Pat Benatar. I've been poked at and peeked at and, yelled at and pushed aside. And I just said, Okay, I evoked Aretha Franklin. Respect, Respect. Let's have some. Also, I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. And then to top that list off, Patti LaBelle's New Attitude. I've got a new attitude. Love that song. I've been a dance teacher of disco, line dances, of hustle, of Lindy slash swing, of cha-cha, and ballroom. So Dancing Queen by ABBA, Happy Dance by Mercy Me, I Feel Better When I'm Dancing. That's a new one by Megan Trainor. I enjoy her songs. Bill Medley, and the song was in Dirty Dancing. I've had the time of my life. I think I have. I'm still trying to have some more. And the Donna Summer discography I love is She Works Hard for the Money and Hot Stuff. Although I was never a streetwalker in LA, I can verify that. I think you can too. On the radio, been doing this for 20, 25 years now. No More Tears, Enough is Enough, Enough is Enough is Enough. Ah, da, da. It was a duet. Last Dance, I don't teach anymore, but I dance in the kitchen and that's okay. I Feel Love, which had that beat, that disco beat in the back. I Feel Love, you remember. And Heaven Knows, which is from the MacArthur Park suite you were talking about. And my dance partner, Michael, who was a former Arthur Murray teacher way back in the day, I haven't been in touch with him in 30 years, but we were in Eugene, Oregon, and we entered a disco Hawaii dance contest and we sewed our own clothes. His mother did. We bought blue hammered silk, and I bought sewed a beautiful. I was very very little then. It was about 97 pounds, and I sewed a little spaghetti strap top and a black satin skirt, Richard. That was a 360-degree circle. And it opened on the side with a great big bow. It didn't close. So when I spun, it went out in a full 360 circle around me. It was quite gorgeous. A little high heels with a, had to have an ankle strap in those days. And our song was Heaven Knows. We came up from opposite sides of the dance floor. Da, 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 da. We approached each other, and then he lifted me over his head, just like in Saturday Night Fever, did the spin over the top. He was a tall, skinny guy. I think his beard was bigger than he was. And then the death drop to the floor and spun me around about 3 inches above the floor and then set me on my feet, and we finished our routine, and we came in third. How about that? So I remember those songs very, very well. So let's talk. Any other songs you wanna? Anything else you want to share about music? Anything specific? What's your favorite disco song when you're painting? Favorite.
Um, oh, wow. There's so many. I mean, everything just, I put it on and it just keeps on going and I love
Okay,
it and that's what I do.
good. Okay. Well, is it the beat? Is it the rhythm? Is it the words? Is it the
More the beat and the rhythm, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. I
Yeah.
love that. I still love that era. So let's talk about a couple of. You know what? Before we talk more, I think it's time for me to show your art. Would you like
Okay.
me to show? May I show
Sure,
your book?
sure, sure.
Okay, let me go and share my screen here. Let's do what's important here. So I'm going to share the screen, and nobody needs to see any of this stuff. And I should have had this off the screen. And here is your book, and we're in. And I have 29 pages. And why don't you tell us? I'll go from page to page. Why don't you tell us what we're looking at? And before I change the page, what is this?
Okay, this is just a small little page um, that is a detail shot of a painting, of one of my paintings. So it's just a little detail shot, but it shows a lot of the things that I like in my work. Circles are a big thing, anything spheres, suns, moons, it's all about the universe. So in this particular painting, I like a lot because it's got a lot of the red tones in it.
Mm-hmm. And we know how much we love those.
Yeah.
Let's go down. So I know this is part of a series, I believe. So what is
Yes.
this about? What are the
Okay.
materials and what does this represent?
Okay. All these paintings are square paintings. The book is
Mm-hmm.
called Square because I do other paintings from other sizes, but they're usually squares. And this one happens to be a 48-inch square. So it's a 4-foot square. So it's rather big. And what I do is there's layers and layers and layers that go into a painting for me. And they usually take about a week to do. Um, I start out with something on these paintings. I use spray paint, stencils, inks, acrylic paints, any kind of washes, tapes. And
Mm.
what's kind of important, this one particularly, I was at a restaurant not that long ago in the winter in California, Northern California, and they had these aquariums and they had these jellyfish in there. And it just was like so amazing that I thought, wow, that'd be a great painting.
That is
So
really, really
that's
cool.
what it's about. But what I do on most of my paintings, there's always a border, there's always a grid.
Hmm.
And that's kind of, I work within that and I just keep on building up from there.
I like it. The layers. Question for you. Well, I'll ask a question after we see a few more.
Okay.
So let me go to the next one. Hold on. Let me go to the next one. Okay, I'm going to go to the, well, we run, wait a minute. Let me go. All right, let's do the blue one now. Go ahead.
I think that's the same one.
Is that the same one?
No,
Okay,
that's
let's go to,
this is
let,
this one. This one is fun. This is one of my lighter paintings. It's called Bubblegum Skies. And it is that one's 40 inches. And again, the same idea. I build up and build up. And I always do borders. There's a border around it. And for me, a border is I can't always, or a grid, I can't always escape. So I'm looking up to the skies. Um, and this one's just a little more happier for me. I
hmm.
use a lot of pinks and grays in my paintings, I think, and blues.
Beautiful. I like the texture behind. And you say
Yes,
stencils. What kind of stencils do you use, Richard?
they could be circles, they could be cans that go around, they could be grids, anything. Anything I find that can make a stencil I use. And then
Interesting.
I usually paint right over them. This painting probably has about 6 to 8 layers on it
Very cool.
that I build up.
Let's go
So,
to
so this one
number.
is fun for me. It was really fun doing this one.
Now, what is Rothko's runway? I saw this and I need an explanation.
Well, I'm not sure your audience probably knows Mark Rothko was one of the famous painters, abstract painters, probably started in the 50s and 60s. And the background is more of a Rothko feel to it, where it's a kind of field painting. And then the top portion is where I do things that um, they're going, it's more directional, going into the sky, going up, looking up to the sky. So I broke that up, but the theme of the painting is more about a Rothko feel to it.
Lovely. Very, it's very uh, geometric to me, and the top and bottom are so different. It looks like you took the square and did. Oh, well, you've got one, two, three, four, five, six different aspects in the top, and then the bottom almost looks to me like a concrete foundation. Is that
Yeah.
was that the intention?
No, no,
No.
but it's what you want it to be.
Yeah, that's what art is. Let's
Yeah.
go to the next one. Pink Horizon Blue Moon. Tell me about this.
Yeah. This is going back to the looking up at the sky. And this is, again, the colorations are the pinks and the grays and the blues that I mentioned are kind of prevalent in my work. And it's kind of trying to break through on this painting, I'd say, for me. And it's a 40-inch square. And actually, this painting, I'm doing 2 shows in New York, one in April and one in May. And this one's going to be in the show in May.
Hmm.
And it's my display area is smaller, so it's going to be this one, the bubblegum sky, and another painting the same. I want to keep the same theme going in terms of coloration as well.
Is it framed? What am I looking at
No,
here?
what I do on my paintings, none of my paintings are framed, but what I
Mm-hmm.
do is I paint the sides, the edges, so people can just hang them on the wall, and I make it part of the painting. To frame something like this, 40 or 40-inch and square painting, to frame it is very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure that if I do the sides, it'll make it a little less expensive for people that purchase the painting. And if they want to still frame it, that I would
Sure.
love that, but if not, that's
Sure.
okay too.
Thank you. What is this material in here? That's these pointing arrows. And they're not arrows. These I don't know what to call them. They
That's
look
all
like
stencils.
spears.
That's all pieces of, again, that's
Really?
what I did was on that, I just took tape and kind of tore it up and put it into different
Got it.
feel. Mhm.
Got it. Beautiful. This is interesting. Space runway.
Yeah, again, the runway idea and this painting, colorations have the blue tones in the sky, looking up at the sky. And this one, again, the same thing on the border on the, I'm putting a border in because I can't break through all the time.
Hmm.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. And it's again looking up at the sky, seeing moons and suns and planets, things
I
like
like
that.
the depth of the
Yeah,
textures. I'm seeing a lot.
yeah. And this series was done in that one before previously. It was all
Yes.
done this winter.
Okay.
So it was kind of,
2025, I
yeah, I
see.
did 6 paintings in from January 1st till just recently.
Nice.
Mhm.
Let's take a look. Red glow.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that's the little painting.
Hmm.
And it was on my cover of my first book, which we added on to. I don't know if you could see that.
We'll show it when we come back
Okay,
because the
okay.
screen is filled with
Oh,
this,
okay,
but you'll
okay.
hold it up. That'll
And
be great.
it's again about the circles, the space element of it, very textural, again, building up on that. And it's a smaller painting.
I see 10 by 10 inch. That is a tiny one. I've never
Yeah.
done one that small. And I see so many, the implication of little tiny colors on that right side, the right border vertical. It
Mm.
looks almost like matchsticks overlaying
Yeah,
each other, like little
yeah.
pickup sticks,
Little
and so
textural
many
things like, yeah.
colors. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. And our house with peach pie skies. Where's the house? And I see the skies. Is
It's
this
sky,
your?
the house is the rectangle on the bottom. You see the triangle? It's a house.
Yes. Oh, oh, I got it. I got it. I got
Now,
it. I was
there's a
looking at the
story
whole thing.
behind this painting.
Go ahead.
Um, the thought on this was during COVID, I took my first studio on November 15th, 2020, and then we got COVID in what, February, March?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know COVID was coming, but I went every day to the studio. It was in my neighborhood. I walked over to this studio. I painted every day. And this was not from then, this was done recently, but this was about COVID. On Saturday nights, a group of us would have dinner together because you were kind of
Mm-hmm.
clustered together and you couldn't
We
be,
called them cocoons, right? COVID
yes,
cocoons.
exactly.
Yes,
So this is the house, and we'd get together.
I see it now.
And then the peach pie skies, we always liked anything peach, peach ice cream, peach pie. So that's what I put in the sky.
And Richard, I'm seeing red marks,
Yes,
drawings on the house that
yes,
are, that's why I didn't see the roof of the house. I just saw
yeah.
all of that
The
red
marks,
extending.
that was in the one of the layers of it. Yes,
Very interesting. Very,
yeah.
very
So
interesting.
this one kind of, that's going to
Oh,
be in the
here's the
painting.
close up.
Yeah.
Here's a, go ahead, keep
So
talking.
this painting will also be in the show in New York. It's by a Japanese firm. So I'm kind of excited to show this.
This is beautiful. Very interesting. Let's go to blocked blue skies. Now, I know there's a theme coming up with the next couple of pictures and
Yes.
that grid. So, what is the grid made out of?
The grid is tape.
Okay.
It's more stencils, tape, or I do paintings. Again, it's the same idea of just putting everything, layers of everything, and then I do a grid because I can't escape a lot of times.
So, the grid is on top.
Yes, yes. And
Interesting.
that's just done with tape, and then but they get the layers that are coming from behind
I
it.
could see. I
Again,
love the textures.
yeah, again, there's with all these paintings, there's a good 5 or 6 or more
This
layers
is
to it.
this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, this is another one of those pink blocked sky paintings. Same idea, same concept.
I love this
Oh,
one,
the
the
other thing
silver.
I use, I
Yep.
should have mentioned, I use a lot of spray paint on the
How do you do
layouts.
that on a, well, this is 40 by 40. Do you have your room blocked off so you're not spray painting walls and ceilings and floors or
I do. And probably I should take more consideration of myself, but I don't.
okay? How much paint
So,
do you walk away with?
well, that's the problem. Then, I'm inhaling all those. Sometimes I
Oh,
wear
yeah,
a mask, sometimes I don't, sometimes I just don't even do it.
please do.
Yeah, I know.
And here's the black skies. I'm going to go
Yes.
through these so we can get to a different part of the series in yellow. I love this one. I love the pink and the spaced out skies. This
Yeah.
was just dramatic for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have the tangerine. Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. There's
So
a
these are all
song.
the same feeling that there's a lot of layers building up and that I'm kind of blocked and I can't get through.
I
And
think there's a,
that it
yep, go
particularly
ahead.
blocked with technology.
Yep. I think there's a song called Tangerine Colored Sky. If
Yeah.
you don't know it, find it and listen
Hmm.
to it. I think you'll enjoy it. I've heard it sung by some jazz singers a few
Yeah.
times, and it's wonderful. Coral, Cluster, and Sky Highways. These are the one is 18
Yeah.
by 18, one is 12 by 12. What are
Right.
these?
These are again the same concept, kind of looking at the sky going up, and the bottom one is fun because one of my tech guys put a car going up and down the lines. See,
I want to
it's
move it over a little bit. Go ahead.
so it's kind of fun to do. It was kind of fun for him to do that. Um,
Very cool.
but this again, the idea of space, going into
Yeah.
space, not able to always be part of it, but looking up.
And the bottom
That's
one looks to me like an easel that says a Z written on the easel.
hmm,
Yeah, I see an easel there with
yeah,
the two horizontal lines, and then
yeah,
the support is the
yeah.
diagonal on the bottom, and with the two. Yeah, I want to go work on that easel. Planet Power and Loud Silence. These are 18 by 18.
Yes,
Okay.
and they're all squares again. And um, the bottom, both of those are in New York City, and different people own it in New York City. And to me, they're very kind of quiet, serene, they're
Mm-hmm.
peaceful in a way. So I kind of like, you know, when you're doing this as an artist, you must feel the same way. I remember exactly when I was doing them
Mm-hmm.
and my thought process when I was doing it as well.
And I see a lot of busy activity going on in the top one, Planet Power, in the upper circles. I
Hmm.
see those lines telling me something is going on. A lot of action. I don't
Yeah.
know what, but yeah. And the third one, top row, third one from the left, in other words, second from the right,
Uh,
has a circle coming out of the white circle, and that tells me that there's something happening there.
yeah.
And then
I'm
it's
just trying to break through, maybe.
yeah, I see it. I
Yeah.
see it. This is a piece of what I'm going to show next. Is that correct?
Right. That's just a piece, a little section of the painting.
There we
There it
go.
is right there.
Circling above. Talk, please.
Yeah, and this is again about a runway going out to space. And you could see there's a lot of spray paint in this one in the base.
Mm-hmm.
And those were big circles that I'd used. And then the black breaking it up on the bottom and kind of trying to break through.
I
And
like the white coming through on the
yeah,
top. That's
right.
very interesting. That shows
Yeah,
some power and also being held down. Interesting
right. Right. So
dichotomy.
and this was a departure, the green. I kind of like that
Mm-hmm.
sage green kind of color. So it was
Pretty.
kind of,
It's peaceful. It was probably the color of the year for paints a couple of years ago. This year it's butter yellow, but we won't
yeah.
talk about that. What is this?
Okay, this is again the idea of being, having, looking at space and being somewhat blocked too in the bottom portions, just a different tone from the top where you're looking at the skies.
Lovely, lovely. And oh, this is interesting. What's going on here? Who's lost? What universe?
I'm lost, kind of. I'm lost in space, and this is actually kind of this one really has the most textures going on in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably our sky, our Earth out in space. And then to the right is maybe more about what the Earth may look like with the greens and all that if you're looking from space.
Very complex on the right. I see a lot of
Yeah,
earth. I see a lot
a
of
lot of
almost
textures in that one.
textures and dirt and things
Yeah,
fighting
yeah,
for visions there. Very, very
right,
interesting.
right.
And let's go to this. Beam up. Is there a Scotty in here? Beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah. Well, it has that kind of scientific.
Star Trekky theme.
Yes, it does actually. And
What are all those lines? Those aren't tape. Were those lines you
those
drew?
are actually those are little tape, that very
How
thin tape that I did.
did you
I'm
get
glad
them
you
so
picked that up.
even? How did you get them so straight?
Well, I just was very careful.
Richard. Wow.
And that painting's in a house in the Hamptons in East
I
Hampton.
could see why. That's
Yeah,
stunning. 36 by 30. That is a stunning piece.
yeah.
Yes.
So I
When
enjoyed
clients buy paintings, do you allow them or do you know if they ever rename them in something that means something to them? Is that acceptable?
it. They could. I don't find anyone that's done that, but that could certainly be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Disco. Well, here we go. Disco
Yeah.
Universe.
Yeah. And what interesting about this is in someone's home in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at, if you go closely to the Earth section, it's all kinds of pills.
Oh, oh, oh.
So
We're
that
talking
was the time at
Studio 54 days,
54.
are
That's kind of what it
you were there and I couldn't get in.
I was there every weekend, so it
Oh dear.
was I was like a regular. So I saw everything that went on. So this is my disco.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Richard, I'm going to ask a question. You're going to know the answer. Do you know what's hanging in my 800 square foot three-car garage here in my house in Tennessee?
A disco ball.
You bet. I bought it from a hotel about 40 years ago. That was
Right,
hotel was being demolished,
right.
and they put the infrastructure or all of the accessories up for auction. And this disco ball was in the ballroom, and it was had a price tag of $225. Now do the math from that long ago. I don't think
Yeah,
they've improved in value, by the way.
right.
I
Yeah.
gave it to myself as a birthday gift, and I still
Yeah.
have the price tag somewhere. And it came with lights, not strobe lights, but it came with two Klieg lights, they call them, with gels over them. One had a blue plastic
Uh-huh.
over it, one had
Right,
red, and it
right.
came with a motor
Mhm.
that spins slowly. And
Wow.
I used this in my TV studio for my holiday specials for many years when I was at PATV in Long Island, Lake Success. And
Uh-huh.
we would have somebody go up on a ladder. We had about 30-foot ceilings in the studio with big bars at the top of the ceiling.
Right, right.
I'd have somebody at risk of great personal risk go up on a ladder and hang the motor, which had an S hook at the top, and then hang the disco ball from it.
Um,
And then we would take two of the three cameras on the floor. It was a three-camera shoot. And we would take one of them and train it up on the disco ball. And then we turn on the motor, and it was very slow going
mm.
around.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I would have singers and dancers and all kinds of people. My holiday show was a 2-hour
Oh,
extravaganza with
wow.
talent from, and they would be performing inside the ball, the mirrored ball, which
Wow.
moved. So, is that cool?
Very cool. Very cool.
And I've taken it everywhere I've gone. It doesn't even fit in my car. I have a small car now. And when I moved here, somebody hung it in the garage for me. So it's
Ah,
there. It's
it's
there.
still and should stay there all the time, right?
It's still there. It will. It'll die with me, but we'll talk. I'll have to talk to my kids about that. Okay.
Now,
And
then
this
going
is,
back to the other one just for a second,
yeah. Go ahead.
all those are little dots are all little round circles painted in there for the sky.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. I see
yeah,
patterns peeking out
yeah.
from, there must be a Rorschach in there somewhere. There's got to be. But with today's, and oh, and you've got red here.
Yeah, a
Look
little
at,
bit of red there too. Yeah.
oh my
The
goodness.
painting
Well,
at the beginning was red, actually.
yeah. Do you ever paint over? Paint
All
over?
the
So,
time. I love
me
painting over
too.
paintings.
Me too. And I like to scrape down to the original color sometimes, which is
You
a lot
give
of
me a
fun.
painting, I always say I'll just paint over it if you like. And I
Yep.
do.
Yep. I do it
People,
all the time too. Yep. And here we go. This looks like a
that's a
close up,
detail.
a
Yes.
detail of
Yeah.
this. Oh,
Yes.
this is interesting and scary. Is that a peace sign that went rogue on Halloween?
No, but I kind of like it. The circles, again, there's spray paint. There's a lot of,
Yeah.
there's black, whites. There's a little bit of red in there.
I see a face in there, Richard. I see a
Yeah.
mask. I see a very scary mask from an M. Shalyan, whatever his name is, a scary movie. I see a face in there
Yeah.
with a little bit of an eye right here. I don't know if you can see. There's almost a
Yeah.
dot that's an eye in there. I'm too scared. I have to go on. Here we're back to morning patrol. Who's patrolling where?
Well, there's a morning patrol and there's a next one's the evening patrol. I think it should be in there maybe. Yes.
Twilight. Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
let's stay on the pink one.
More this one's in a home here in Chicago, in a townhouse in Chicago. And when I was doing this, these are a lot of games, same ideas. The concept go back. Same thing I was doing. The grid, tapes, and those all are little circles are a little square, little round disc I put in and paint through them, and then you spray paint, paints, inks, and so this is morning patrol, and then the next one is evening patrol. Again, it's very,
Mm.
I can't break through kind of idea.
Yep. And I'm seeing the circles at the top. I'm just
Mm.
doing a
Yes,
comparison here.
yes. Mhm.
Interesting. Okay. And now we're going to more circles and more dots and more grids.
Exactly. And this has got a lot of, I mean, this is a
This is
lot of
busy.
dots.
This
A
is
lot of dots going on.
very interesting. How did you get the circles on top to be transparent to see the grid underneath? How'd you do that?
Just different layers, actually. And then there's different size circles that I use. And the
Hmm.
bottom is the deeper blues. Again,
Beautiful.
and this is in a home in the suburbs here of Chicago, actually.
Lovely. Just lovely. And oh, well, you know, this is one of my favorites in the book, of course. Red, magenta maze.
Yeah. And this was a lot of, again, a lot of different things going on and different layers. And I wasn't happy. And then I wanted to do one kind of color note. And a friend said to me, do it all whites. I said, no, I'm going to do reds. And
Beautiful.
so that's how that became. And it's about space and all kinds of planets. And
Dramatic. I see a
uh,
horse in there, or I see a knight in almost shining armor riding on a hobby horse on the lower right-hand side, heading off the page. You see him with the
yeah,
little
yeah,
helmet on? Yeah,
yeah.
he's heading off the page. Yes.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And here we go. This
And
is
this is an interesting story. This is a newer one, and
it's the
it's
last
in a
page.
yeah, it's on the cover, and this is in a home in Northern California, and it's a 48 by 48,
Beautiful.
and it's called Joyce's Journey.
Hmm.
And honestly, it's about my sister who passed away 2 years ago,
Sorry.
and it's Stairway to Heaven is
Oh.
the song I had music to,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's her path to heaven.
Stairway to heaven. Yeah.
And so that one was kind of important. That's why I put it on the cover.
Yeah.
And she loved turquoise teal tones, those kept tones. So I
Beautiful.
put that in there for that.
Beautiful. That was lovely. We have an option now. We can go to the questions, or I can share a little bit of my own art. Would you like to see a little
Yeah,
bit of
let's see
my
that.
art?
I want to see your art.
You sure? I showed you a
Yes.
little bit last week. Let's
Yeah,
do a
but
little
let's
bit
go.
here. Let me get it
Yeah.
open here. And let me go to share again, share screen, and here we are. So some of this is just my digital art. Those of you who know that I use nightcafe.studio, right up there,
Mm,
you can see it, Night
mm,
Cafe Studio, not Midjourney for my prompts. And I was playing with the idea of a microphone in a globe, predictions, a crystal ball. And let me just go through these quickly. And it evolved over time. And this is one of the ones I like the best, Richard,
hmm
here on the right.
Right. That's
And you add different, and it brings up different filters. I don't
mm,
write the words vector, fractal, wave function. You put a filter on it, and this is what it describes it as. It's their
mm,
terms, not mine. But then you have the benefit of what that filter is. And then it went through more iterations and more iterations and more colors. And then finally, it came to be this with the microphone. And I was playing,
love that.
thank you, I was playing with my picture.
Hmm.
And somehow my picture became transparent when I put it in Photoshop because of the way I was trying to get rid of the background on the actual picture. And all of a sudden, it's inside the damn crystal ball. And it looks like I'm talking into the red microphone. I said,
Right.
oh my God, this was an accident that was meant to happen. I don't know. And I made it
That's
into
the way art is.
I know. I made it into the poster for the
Right.
Crystal Ball AI Prediction Special Week 3. That was, this one was December 18th last year. And
Wow.
I said,
That's great.
wow, I made a mistake and it turned out to be,
That's worth it.
I didn't even think I could replicate it. Then
Right.
the show is now uses this with the microphones inside the hourglasses, but these were some of
Mm,
the iterations. And the one here in the middle, I like that and I made three of them in Photoshop. So
mm,
this is replicated. And then for my creativity show, I wanted to talk about a microphone in a city. You
mm,
can see different
mm.
versions here.
Right.
And then I said, what about microphones on sand? What about
Yeah.
and lipstick? And I just
Mm.
kept playing and playing and
Well,
playing.
you're picking things that you like,
I
certainly.
am. And
Yeah.
then I read somebody had a prompt on one of the galleries on Night Cafe, and they said mix oil, water, soap, and silver tinsel on a moonscape. And I added
Mm.
the word red, and this is what I got.
Yeah.
And I thought that is really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that, and let me go to the next slide, and I made it a silver
Hmm.
celestial, hyper
Right.
realistic
Right.
celestial silver moonscape, got
Right.
rid of the red. Then I added from another picture a stand of red lipsticks and a microphone. And
Which mean
then
a lot to you.
There, obviously. And then I added the replicas of my two little grandpuppies, Amos and Jake. Amos is the blonde, and Jake is actually chocolate color. But I added them walking on this moonscape in the water, and I thought that was real. They were dancing with pink Valentine's hearts. So that was just for me, for the family. And then I took the microphone from another one and I said, give me all of this fancy schmancy pink stars and red
Right.
balls and all that. And then I cobbled it together in this version here on the right. So this is Photoshop. There were three panels here, Richard.
Hmm.
This is the microphone you saw
Right,
before. These are
right,
the lipsticks. These
right,
are the big red mic. I put
right.
it together and I think it's fairly seamless. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Thank
And it's
you.
telling your story. That's what's
Yeah,
important.
I
Yeah.
blended. So if people
Right.
say that, AI art is taking away. I couldn't do this on my own, but it's still me as the creative human saying this is what I like and this is what I want and this is how I see it. So this is me using those tools
Right.
and
Right.
very, very clear. And then these are my specialties. I ask it to create, and this were done in color. This is AI art, but this is what
Mm.
they look like with the color stripped out.
Right.
I I give it the prompt
Hmm.
and then I print it on clear 8.5 by 11 acetate or film. It's flexible.
Right.
We used to use it in AV
Mm.
machines years ago
Right.
when we were in school. Nobody here remembers that.
No, no, they were.
And while the ink is still wet, I run down the hall to my art studio and I put it face down on 12 by 12-inch white cardstock, which is heavier, as you know, than
Right.
regular paper.
Right.
And I rub the back of it. Sometimes
Mm.
I'll put something, I'll roll it over, or just my hands. I'll rub it and make a transfer. So there's just a little color left on the cardstock, but it comes out like a tracing. And
Wow.
then what I do, these are the ones that are framed hanging in a local salon, but this is
Mm.
what they look like.
Oh, it's great. Really
So
good.
I paint,
Very
I
interesting.
take
Yeah.
acrylics, I take watercolors,
Hmm.
I take fake jewels here. If I can get this guy, let me get out of that. I take fake jewels that I have, plastic press on jewels, and
Hmm.
I put the eyes. This one is a square with round corner, this one is a
Sure.
diamond shape. And then I fill in with glitter glue and paint.
Hmm.
And this gold here, his necklace or his
Hmm.
collar,
Hmm.
is from a candy wrapper.
Oh, wow.
So
Very
I
cool.
use collage materials
Which is great.
and thank you. And I like the drama and that's why the hair salon liked these because look, they all feature really crazy hair.
Right.
So
Right.
so they said come bring us your pictures and that was really cool. And then this one, these are early on, these were done with a brushes app on my iPad with my finger.
Wow.
These were all done without a stylus, without a brush,
Mm.
without a pencil.
Mm.
These were all digital, and these were just playing. I call this RNC. I call this Oh Really. Let
Mm.
me make this a little bit bigger here. Oh really? Let me get her out of here. Oh really? And I'm
Mm.
able to do a background filler
Right.
and triangles. And look, see the face?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
That's it. That's her. So I'm just going to leave that one over here. And this one, I don't know what I called this. She is. It was a little
Little clever.
esoteric. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I signed it. And yes, so that would be me in a confused day. And and then where are we? We're on, I don't know what slide we're on. Let me go down here. Next one. These are some of my acrylic and collage paintings. And
Those are
this
great.
one, I'll show you this one. This is painting over a painting where
Yeah.
I take a metal scraper, like
Hmm.
you'd use it to scrape vegetables. It's
Right.
not a
Right.
brush, but it's metal, a
Hmm.
small spatula.
Hmm.
And I scrape the new layer of paint down in sharp strokes, and you can
Hmm.
see here.
Yeah.
And I reveal what's underneath.
Right. Right. That's what you're
Interesting?
revealing something about yourself. Right.
Yes, and I love these. These make me very, very happy, these scraped paintings. And this is another one here. There are scrapings here. Let me get this one out of the way. There are scrapings in here too. You can see the pink
Yeah,
scrape.
I would think that would even be more you, just the red tones and
Yeah,
all that. Yeah.
I think so. There's a
Yeah, I
lot
really
going
like
on
that.
here.
Hmm.
And
I
this is
like it.
glitter glue. See the glue? Little bit. And
Yeah.
these make me happy. I love these. I love playing. I haven't done any in a while like that, but I just like to, I have
Well,
about
maybe you
300.
should do more of those.
Thank you. I have about 300 paintings here, and this was a paint pour. That's all. No room anymore. This is watercolors here,
Nice.
and this
Very
is a
nice.
paint pour with
Mm.
tilting the
Mm.
canvas with all kinds of colors. And
Right.
this is watercolors. I call this for the birds, and
Hmm.
these are my birds marching along, and you can see what I did with the background of the canvas, like a plaid.
Right.
I think I used a sponge for this, Richard,
Yeah.
sponging the colors so
Get
that they're
textural. Yeah.
textural and
Mm.
almost transparent.
Hmm.
And then this is my city. I have a cityscape series that I do most of them
Mm,
in pink, but this
mm.
was one of the darker ones, A City That Never Sleeps.
Right.
And this is, I don't know what, these are just little curly cues.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, I think that how big are those paintings?
Mine are usually 16 by 20. That's about
Mm,
as big as I go. 20
mm,
by 24 the most. I have big canvases, but I haven't used them. I have one big one on an easel. And
mm,
this was done with watercolors
mm.
on a black canvas. This is an angled picture, obviously, done
Mhm.
looking down on it.
Right.
And this was done with a ruler and
Oh,
very strict,
being
thin lines.
exact. Hmm.
Yeah, very, and this made me happy. And then this, I just started painting shapes in watercolors, and I looked at them,
Mm.
I said, there are faces there. So I gave them eyelashes and I gave them
Right,
smiles.
right.
And by the way, I didn't frame this. I used to sew a lot of clothes. I had stretchable uh, fabric edging.
Wow,
This is
interesting.
stretchy, and I had a whole package of it in my sewing supplies. So I just glued it on or pinned it on to the canvas and made a frame.
Very cool. Great
And
idea.
I think that's, oh, two more. And this
Mm.
is another pouring.
Hmm.
And also I use a balloon with a little bit of water in it, and
Hmm.
you push it down into the wet colors, and it makes a
Oh,
imprint.
cool.
That's what the circles are.
Wow.
And then this one, I have no idea how I did this one. I don't even remember doing it, but I like it a lot. This reminds me of your textured layer look,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I
Hmm.
don't even know when I did that, but I'm going to go find that one afterwards and see what I did with it. There's a lot going on here. A lot of diff. So that's my art. So there we go. Thank you for
Well, as I said to you previously, um, being an artist, you really should promote that and you should be on Instagram.
I will go rejuvenate my Insta account and I'll put some art up there and
But
see what I could do.
with Instagram, I did it 5 years ago, and I'm just shocked. You get this world exposure,
Yep. Yep.
and you meet people from all over, and it's been very interesting. So I'm glad my friend made me do it.
There you go. Well,
So I'm
you're
going
my
to make you
friend.
do it,
You're going
right?
to make me do it. So
Right,
you're
because
my
I'm
new
your
best
friend.
friend. Now, let's briefly do a couple of off the topping, then
Okay.
a couple news stories because I know you're busy and let's just visit a little bit longer.
Okay.
So, how do you start your day? Is there a specific drink or a food that powers you at least for the morning, Richard?
Okay. I only have, and this is for decades, I only have one cup of coffee a day, and that's in the morning. It's got to be black, and it's got to be the strongest brew I could find. And with that, I'm not a real big eater. I eat to live. I don't live to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have yogurt and fruit, and that's really it.
What kind of fruit?
Blueberries are my favorite. Strawberries,
Fresh or
fresh,
frozen?
fresh,
Fresh.
fresh.
Okay, good. I thought so.
Strawberries, any kind of fruit that's in season, I will eat. And actually, fruit is probably one of my favorite foods,
That's
food
nice. It's
groups.
good for you.
Yeah. So,
Personal blender with a pulse button, 6 to 8 ounces of 1% milk, handful of sliced frozen strawberries unsweetened, one banana small, complete without any of the garbage stuff
right,
that's in there. I don't like the
right.
brown stuff. Maybe a little tiny bit of vanilla ice cream or a couple of ice cubes, a squirt of raw agave syrup instead of that's my sweetener, and it's organic. At least that's what it says. And then I pulse it and it comes out the 6 or 7 ounces I put in comes out to be about 12 ounces. It balloons up, it volumizes, as they say. And I open the cover of this jar and I put my just reusable straw in it and I enjoy it at my desk and that powers me all morning. What
Yeah,
do you think of that?
that's great. That's great.
That
I
that's
also have a banana every morning too.
yes, yes, important for those. We know the potassium, although I
Yes,
hear there are better sources, it's still something we grew up with. Eat your
right.
bananas, there's your potassium.
Exactly.
There you go. If you could be a superhero, what would you be? Who would you be and why? Would it be a superhero we know about from the cartoons and the movies, or would you make one up? Richard?
That's a good question. Um, I am going to say Superman. And the reason why I'm going to say that, when I was living in New York and there was a big snowstorm one winter, And I went outside, and in front of my building was Christopher Reeves. Remember him as Superman?
Of course.
Throwing snowballs.
No.
And I thought, well, that's it. That would be it. And so I have to say that was a memory I probably would never forget because it was just like, it was Superman throwing snowballs.
What would you do with that superpower if you had that power?
Oh,
Would you have a cape? Would you paint the cape?
that would be fun, actually.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, do it all different colors.
Yeah.
What was that play that they wore the cape with all the different colors? And
Not
there was,
Joseph
yeah,
with the
Joseph and the, yeah, that was it.
coat of
Yes.
many colors. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I would want to be some kind of a quiet version of Superwoman, and I wouldn't want to be ostentatious or have a belt or a sword or anything like that. And I would want the superpower of being able to know what makes people angry or mean.
Mm,
I would like to know the reason without having to ask them or
yeah,
psych them out or figure it
right,
out. I would like
right,
to know why some people are the way they are. Not to intrude, just to be better informed about people I
right,
meet who just sometimes aren't very nice, in
yeah,
my opinion. And
right.
I would just like to know without getting into a great big, lifetime
Mm,
Freudian psychological story. I
mm,
would just like to know where that comes from and whether it's malleable, whether you can find a way around that if
yeah,
you know a little more about them without having to
right,
say, okay, you piece of you know what, tell me what the F is going on.
right,
That doesn't usually
right.
lead to a good outcome. So those are our superheroes. Now, um, let's see. Okay, the phone's ringing. Uh-oh, it's Francis Ford Coppola, and it's Shonda Rhimes, and it's James Cameron, and it's who is it? It's Spielberg, and
Mm,
they all want, and David E. Kelly, and Guy Ritchie, and they all want to make either a life story movie or a TV series about you, Richard G. They want to know which one of them do you choose? What would you call it? Would it be movie or TV? And what genre would it be? And who would play you? Just a couple of questions.
oh, wow. Probably who I would pick. It's a newer one, newer
Okay.
director. And I just watched it, just completed it. Maybe you did too. White Lotus, Mike White.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'd want him.
Really?
Yes. And
Okay.
I'd like to be in one of his White Lotus movies.
Oh, but it would have to be about you. So what would you title the episode? It was just an episode about you. What would you call that episode?
Um, Maybe The Painter.
Simplistically elegant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I would love to be in one of his,
So you want to play you.
well, I don't even care if I play one of the characters. I don't even care if I play in one of his
But this
films
this is about you though.
about me.
This is your life story. So
And who
would you
would I
be
want to play me?
or if you're starring in it, nobody's ever said that before, and I like that. I like that a lot. That's breaking through, as we were talking about on your paintings. So the question is, what would you do in that episode of The White Lotus? Would you end up lying floating face down in the pond in the lagoon at the end, or would
Well,
you
you know what? I wouldn't really care if I did. I mean, that would be okay. I don't have, I could be the
but
bad
you'd be the
guy.
painter.
Yeah,
You'd
the
be the
painter that gets the rough life and just gets up in the water dead.
I never thought about that. Wow. Did you like the ending of season 3, by the way?
I did. I liked all of them. And I think that maybe I've met the director or I've seen him somewhere else before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know he's been in a lot of different things and he was an actor, but I mean, I would love to be in a White Lotus movie. I would like to play any character. If anyone you know that's listening,
Well,
I want,
we can promote. Tell Grace at Lightfinder PR
yeah,
to send
that's
this
what
to
I want.
Mike White and tell him that Richard G wants to be in the next White Lotus, whatever that
Yeah,
is, another
whatever
year.
role he wants to give me, I'm okay with it.
Isn't that interesting? Well, mine would be a TV series. It would be 6 to 8 episodes, limited series. It would star a redhead, probably Reba McEntire. It would be a
Okay,
combination of comedy and musical and drama and life experience and
right.
funny characters, but some serious undertones. And Reba would probably play me, even though she has a southern accent and I don't. I'm more of a New York
Yeah.
girl, but we could work on
You
that.
can
We
work
could
on
work,
that.
and it
Yeah.
would be called either Hot Stuff or She Works Hard for the Money,
Yeah.
or Enough is Enough. Maybe it would be called Enough is Enough, and
Well, I
that
would say she works hard for the money because she really works really hard.
It's about me though. It's my life
Well,
story.
yeah,
So
but you do
I've
too. So
I've
yeah.
worked hard. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
she works hard for the money. I think that would be
Mhm.
so that would be my 8 episode limited series. That would be the one. Okay. And Reba would play me, and yeah, I'd come up with somebody to play my mom, and oh, somebody really cool and funny to play my mom. I think of that.
Debbie Reynolds.
She's not here anymore. We need
Oh, we got to
somebody.
have someone who's living.
Yeah, it'd have to be a living person. That's why I didn't pick Maureen O'Hara to play me because she's
Mm,
long gone. I thought she
right.
would be really, really cool, the
Mm,
redhead, or Rita Hayworth. My goodness, how dramatic that would
yeah, that
be.
would be.
How dramatic. One thing you bought or made for yourself that makes you especially happy, something you still have in your life, something that you cherish. You
That
look at
I
it and
made for myself or I
or
got.
bought or bought.
Okay. Um, I have um, probably print that I got a lithograph in the 80s at Sotheby's. It was in an auction, and it's a Chagall.
Mm,
And I gave it to my parents, and I had to do with a clock and time, and that was kind of really important. And I don't have a picture of it I could show you, but um, I have it back again. But it meant a lot to me, and I love it. And anything Marc Chagall, I love anything that he does with art.
beautiful. When my parents came back from a trip to Israel years ago, they brought me the little slides, the little slides you put in a slide projector
Right,
of
right.
the windows Chagall had
Oh yeah.
designed,
Oh
the
sure.
stained glass windows. And I
Right.
remember that. And I think a book to go with it.
Yeah.
That was lovely. I hope people still appreciate that level of art. I don't know if anybody younger even knows who he is
No.
or remembers him,
Well,
but
he's certainly an important artist.
he is to art in so many different ways.
Right. Right.
My thing is something I bought accidentally, Richard. I needed a new red bedspread for my bed here when I moved to Tennessee, and I just bought one that was velvet with a pattern on the velvet. It was very pretty.
Uh,
And when it arrived, I could hardly lift it out of the box. And I realized I had bought one of those comfort blankets. It's a weighted blanket
oh
that
wow.
people give to people who need a hug when they go to sleep. And I live alone, and this blanket hugs me every
Uh,
night. And it was an accidental. Oh, the blanket's gorgeous. The red is just, it's got a pattern in the red on top of
oh,
it. And if you touch it, you feel this velvet velour. It's very thick. It's lovely. But I
like your
never,
flower, the color of your flower,
they're darker, much
darker.
darker,
Like
much
your
darker.
lips in the
Yeah. Yep.
background.
Absolutely. I'm looking for something that's, you know what? Uh, this color.
Okay.
Really, really. There's a flower pot that I use for holding makeup and pens and things. Yeah, that color. And it's just gorgeous. And every day when I make the bed, I run my hand over the bottom half of the bedspread like this, just to touch
Mm,
it. It's become a
nice.
ritual. But you put, even on a warm night, you just cover yourself up even for a couple minutes and you just feel. And I didn't expect that. I didn't
Mm,
say that in the ad when I bought it, and I didn't understand it. And I said to my friends, "This is so heavy. Why, I can barely move this thing. You
right.
can't even straighten the sheets underneath it." And somebody said to me, "This is called a weighted blanket," and I never saw that. So that's one of the fun things, interesting things, excuse me, that I bought for myself that I like. It makes me
Right.
happy. Makes me
Right.
happy
That's
every.
what's important.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it's come down to at this stage in life and history. So, do you have a couple of stories to share with me for wacky news? Do you want to show them, or well, I can't share for you on your side, but you want to talk about them, and then I'll share mine.
Um, well, we talked about the iPods,
Yeah. So, why don't you tell us the story because people don't know it? Go ahead.
the Walkmans we had. That was probably what was that in the 80s?
79.
Okay, 80s, yeah. And I used to love those. And I used to walk on the beach in New York. I was living in New York City, and in New York, in the summers, you don't stay in the city. It's too hot. So you go somewhere else. You go to the Hamptons, Fire Island, the Jersey Shore, different places. So I'd always go every weekend. I actually went to the shore and um, I'd walk along the beach with my little Walkman, and it was so soothing. And even now, the only time I use my iPod things, the only time I do it is when I'm by water
Mm-hmm.
or just relaxing. So that was a fond memory for me.
Yep. So I sent you a story and it was about the history of it. And apparently it was made in Japan and
Oh yeah,
they expected to sell 5,000 in a month and
right,
they sold something like 20,000 a month instantly,
right.
50,000 in the first 2 months.
Mhm.
And they named it the walkabout, the roundabout, the soundabout. It had different names in Australia and the UK. And nobody thought that Walkman would be a popular name in the Western culture. And
Yes,
it was.
yeah.
It really was.
And when you had those, you could put two people could use it.
Ah.
And sometimes you'd walk with someone else and listen to the same music.
Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Very
So that
cool. I didn't remember that because I think I had a couple of Walkmans somebody gave me and I never did much with them. I was a transistor radio girl. You know, we'd have the radio with, I think we'd have the earphones on,
oh
little,
wow.
little
So you
transistor
had a whole
radio that took
little you had to hold it and
batteries.
all that.
You'd hold it. Yeah, you'd hold
Yeah,
it. I didn't do boom boxes either. What's
yeah,
your
yeah.
second story? You got another story for us?
Well, you were talking about food and about drinks and about
Mm-hmm.
making celebrations out of that. So that probably would be in the origins of all that.
So what's the story?
Um, my story about that is just um, weddings, actually, and making
Yeah.
toasts and all that.
Ah, and do you know the origin of the word toast, to toast somebody?
We were talking, it has an English, goes back to medieval times and all that.
Yeah. They had bread sitting on a wassail bowl with spiced cider or other drinks, and they toasted it and it fell in. They used it as a snack or they dunked it. And then eventually, toast was something they used it as a blessing for the farmers in the field. And they said, we're blessing with this. And eventually, they got rid of the bowl and they just toast. They had the toasted bread of whatever kind of sweet bread it was. And they said, I'm toasting you. And it became on its own.
Right,
It became
right,
an accolade or
right,
a tribute. Interesting
right.
story, right?
Yeah, very interesting.
Very cool. You know, there are ways to do toasts, and there are books written on wedding toasts, on giving the right kind. And we all
Right.
see those silly movies where somebody gives a horrible toast and they say awful things about the bride and groom, and the wedding gets derailed. We all know those. I have a
Right.
couple of stories news stories
Good.
to share. Let me
Uh-huh.
share these now. Let me go back to desktop share, and you can take a look. This is interesting. I found. Let me get rid of my art thing here. Come on, come on. Don't save, save, save. Okay, here we go. I found a story about these are called veneries. Have you ever heard of venery, Richard?
No.
Venery is a word for an animal group. Interesting.
Hmm.
It's an old school term for hunting, and scientists had things like a charm of hummingbirds and a cauldron of bats, but they came up with all kinds of names. So gaggles, flamboyances, murders, and other names. So let me go through a couple of these. I think you'll
Hmm.
enjoy them.
Hmm.
So there's a group of owls is called a parliament of owls. Did you know that?
No, I never knew that.
From C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia. The
Okay.
Parliament of Owls met at
Wow.
night to talk about Narnia, and it comes from Chaucer's poem, Parliament of Fowls, written in the
Wow.
14th century. Then
Wow.
we have crows, a murder of crows. Did you know that that's what a group of crows is called? A murder of crows. I had no idea. They say they often appear in cemeteries where disaster is, and they have loud, harsh cries. There's apes are called a shrewdness of apes, and it meant wickedness when this term was
Wow.
used. Thought that was interesting. A bloat of hippopotamuses, which we all want to say hippopotami. A male hippopotamus can weigh over 7,000 pounds. Boy, he needs to cut out carbs and
Yeah.
have fat that helps them float. So the author of this article thought it should be a float of hippopotamuses instead of a bloat.
Mm.
We all know a gaggle of geese. Did
Right.
you know there's a term called a flamboyance of flamingos? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Well, it comes from the Latin flame and flamboyance. Flamboyance is from
Mm.
French. It goes back to Latin roots, and it's a from 1930s captive breeding colonies of flamingos were first cultivated in South Florida. There you
Wow.
go. Ferrets. It's a business of ferrets. Whoever heard of that? There's a book from 1486, the Book of St. Albans. It refers to a Besynes, business of ferrets for their busy nature. And as English evolved, it was changed to busyness and business. Interesting.
Wow.
Then we have a conspiracy of lemurs. They travel in groups and they conspire to protect fight each other. It's called mobbing. I think we
Mm,
know the human part
mm.
to that.
Yes.
And they collectively attack or harass a predator before it involves any of them. So it's called a conspiracy of lemurs. Destruction of cats. I've never heard of that. House cats are a clouder, a pounce, or a clutter. But a destruction of cats refers to a roaming group of wild cats, sounds like ferals, that will take action to defend their territory. Interesting.
Wow.
And manatees, you know what who manatees are,
Mm.
the sea cows.
Right.
They aggregate in warmer pockets in the water as winter comes, and they spend 12 hours a day floating and drifting, and they're called an aggregation of manatees. And then rhinoceroses, we've already had hippos, now we have rhinos. Did you know they can run at 30 miles an hour and see 30 feet ahead of them? I wouldn't have known that. Why would I know that? This
Right.
creates the potential for chaos. They could crash. So a group of rhinoceroses in the wild is called a crash of
Wow.
rhinoceros. I find these wacky articles.
Yeah.
Here's one. Cheetahs. It's a coalition of cheetahs, a convocation of eagles, an exultation of larks, a galaxy of starfish, an intrusion of cockroaches, a lounge of lizards. We've heard of lounge lizard, right?
Yes, yes.
Lounge, pandemonium of parrots, a tower of giraffes. Well, that makes sense. An
Right.
unkindness of ravens, and a wisdom of wombats. I thought that was. Did you enjoy that?
That was great. Learned a lot here.
I thought that was fun. And did you know that the Betty White Forever stamp debuted about a week ago?
Oh yeah, she was
And it's
great.
it's in my local post office. This is an artist. His name, what's his name? It's in here somewhere in the article. Dale Stephanos. He created the stamp and he spoke at the first day dedication ceremony in L.A. Betty White was a big proponent for animal advocacy and said they did the ceremony at the LA Zoo. I thought that was pretty really cool, and it's available in my local postage store, which is here. We have a post office in the hardware store. It's a small town. He said, I wanted Betty's personality to take center stage. You'll love this, Richard. I was absent-mindedly drawing instead of eating my eggs. And I looked back at the mess I'd been making in my sketchbook. At some point, I had drawn a paw print. I had a eureka moment, and I thought,
Yeah.
what if I just give Betty an earring in the shape of a paw print?
Yeah.
So he used that in the stamp, and the stamp became the stamp, and there you go. And she served on the Greater LA Zoo Association's
Yeah.
Board of Trustees as a co-chair and was a donor. So what do you think of that? Cool?
Wonderful woman. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so he's the artist, and they let him take these pictures
Yeah.
standing next to the stamp. And they are available in local post offices. And if you're still buying forever stamps, which might be a pretty good idea right now,
I do.
hold it up. We can't see it. Hold it in front of you. Go ahead. Nope. Keep moving it. Keep moving it to your right. To your right, just a little bit. It's still, no, the background is killing it. Move it to your left. Move it to your left. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Nope, can't see it.
Okay.
Okay. Yep,
It's
there you hold it in
Ansel
front of you.
Adams, the photographer. It's
Yeah,
his
I see it now.
photographs.
I see it. Perfect. Perfect. Oh,
So
that's beautiful.
I always get stamps that have artists on and all that. I would do that
Very
forever. I've been
nice.
doing it.
Very nice. So, Richard, do you have any advice for coming up cool dude? Somebody who says, oh, I didn't know, I've never heard of Richard Glick, and I want to be just like him. I want to draw layered and very
Yeah.
interesting and
Yeah.
multi-dimensional paintings, and I
Yeah.
want people to buy them. I want them in
Right.
museums. I want them in.
Right.
How would somebody get inspired like you did to be an artist, Richard?
Um, I think you just have to kind of have that yearning. I started, my oldest sister was a was a teacher, but at a very young age, she got me into Picasso. So for a long time, that's all I thought about was Picasso. And we have a great Picasso sculpture here in Chicago that he donated to the city in the 60s. So Picasso is really my start in the art world, I would say. It gave me but I would tell anyone who wants to go in the art field, it's a rough road. Any of the arts are rough.
Yep.
So you really have to want it and go for it, but just work hard at it and work hard at something else too to bring in the money.
believe in yourself, right?
Yes, yes,
Got to
yes,
believe in yourself. Thank
yes.
you for pushing me. I will go look at Instagram and see if I
Yeah, I
could
think you got to do
post some
it.
of my pic. I only have 300 here, and I would
Well, you
love to
got to
sell a few of
every,
them.
post once a week and you'll do good.
Okay, I will do that, and I will tag you.
Yeah,
So I
and
want
tell
to.
Mike White to give me a call.
I will. Well, Grace is going to do that. Grace. I don't know if she goes by Gracie. Grace with a Y, Graycey. We're going to add another Y. Gracie McCormick at Lightfinder PR. You go call Mike White
Oh,
because
right now.
Richard G wants to have you be in a White Lotus. It
Yeah,
might be another year, so your timing is
it's
probably
okay.
really good.
Yeah.
If you want to see a very interesting TV show, I just started watching something called Maestro in Blue, and it's all in Greek. I think it's
Oh,
Netflix, and it's about we don't know who he is, but he's a music instructor, music teacher, and an orchestra leader. And he
oh,
moves to a very small island in Greece, and the locals have all their secrets they're keeping. And he's 30 years older than the young girl who falls in love with him, and he falls in. But there's all kinds of things going
oh,
on in the
wow. I'll
background,
have to check that
and
out.
it uses past tense flashbacks. It uses future flash
Mm,
forwards and
mm.
mixes them up. So you have to say, wait a minute, he didn't die yet. He's sitting at the table, but that's how he died. That's him in the water with the anchor around his ankle.
Wow.
Really? And I'm up to the season finale. It was apparently 19 episodes, 3 seasons, and you have to have the subtitles on because it's Greek. But it's
Right,
beautiful, and there's music in it, and beautiful countryside and boat rides, and as an artist, you might enjoy
right.
it.
Wouldn't it be nice to be there right now in this cold, wintry
Yeah.
like weather we're having at the
Well,
moment?
it's about 70 degrees here in
Is it really?
Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
But it was 33 this morning,
Uh-huh.
and it was 88 last week,
Wow.
and it was 42 yesterday morning. And my poor plants here, the trees are all up. They don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
They're saying, "Wait a minute, the ground was warm. The ground's cold. The ground's warm. It's raining. It's blowing. Oh my!" They don't have any idea. So Richard, I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to put the music on. And again, thank you to you
Thank you.
for sharing. Oh, my pleasure. My
So
absolute
much fun.
pleasure. Let me put the music. Let me make sure my keyboard is up here and let's put this on and let's see what's going to happen here. And if I raise the volume,
So you wanna be a
a
cool
cool kid. These are my lyrics.
hanging with the ink set,
Hanging with the insect,
looking real,
looking real, cool and fine.
casting your fake
Casting your net.
So you
Wait
wanna
for the
be
drum roll. I gotta get my drumsticks. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you to Serge Hoffman for the music and the song. Thank you to Richard G, Mr. Glick. Thank you to
Thank you.
Grace. And we're going to say goodbye to the social. And